We are back with part 5 of this week's reading through the Messianic Jewish Family Bible Tree of Life version, TLV, and we are reading through Exodus 25 through 40, and we are actually beginning chapter 33. Then Adonai said to Moses, "Leave, get out of this place, you and the people that you have brought out of the land of Egypt into the land which I swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, saying, I will give it to your seed. I will send an angel before you. I will drive out the Canaanites, Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. Head up into a land flowing with milk and honey, but I will not move within the midst of you, so that I do not destroy you along the way, for you are a stiff-necked people." When the people heard these dreadful words, they mourned, and no one put on any ornaments. Adonai said to Moses, "Say to Bani Israel, you are a stiff-necked people. If I were going up among you for one moment, I would consume you. Take off your ornaments so that I may consider what to do to you." So Bani Israel stripped themselves of their ornaments from Mount Horeb onward. The next section in chapter 33 is "Show me your glory." Now Moses used to take the tent and pitch it outside the camp, far off from the camp, and he called it the tent of meeting. So it happened, everyone who sought Adonai would go out to the tent of meeting, which was outside the camp. Whenever Moses went out to the tent, all the people would arise and stand, and everyone at the door of his own tent, and look after Moses until he had gone into the tent. After Moses entered, the pillar of cloud descended, stood at the door, and he would speak with Moses. When all the people saw the pillar of cloud standing at the entrance of the tent, they all rose up and worshipped, every man at the entrance of his own tent. So Adonai spoke with Moses face to face, as a man speaks with his friend. Then he would return to the camp, for his servant Joshua, the son of Nun, a young man, did not leave the tent. So Moses said to Adonai, "You say to me, bring up this people, but you have not let me know whom you will send with me. Yet you have said, I know you by name, and you have also found grace in my eyes. Now then, I pray, if I have found grace in your eyes, show me your ways, so that I may know you, so that I might find favor in your sight. Consider all that this nation is your people. My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest," he answered. But then he said to him, "If your presence does not go with me, don't let us go up from here. For how would it be known that I or your people have found favor in your sight? Isn't it because you go with us that distinguishes us from all the people on the face of the earth?" Adonai answered Moses, "I will also do what you have said, for you have found favor in my sight, and I know you by name." Then Moses said, "Please show me your glory." So he said, "I will cause all my goodness to pass before you, and call out the name of Adonai before you. I will be gracious toward whom I will be gracious, and I will show mercy on whom I will be merciful." But he also said, "You cannot see my face, for no man can see me and live." Then Adonai said, "See, a place near me, you will stand on the rock. While my glory passes by, I will put you in a cleft of the rock and cover you with my hand until I have passed by. Then I will take away my hand, and you will see my back, but my face you will not see." So that is chapter 33. So Moses got to be in the glory, the presence of the glory of God, and he was protected by being in the cleft. So chapter 34, Adonai said to Moses, "Carve for yourself 2 tablets of stone, like the first ones. I will write upon them the words that were on the first tablets, which you broke. Be ready by morning, come up to Mount Sinai, and present yourself to me there on the top of the mountain. No one is to come with you, and do not let anyone be seen throughout the entire mountain. Even the flocks and herds must not graze in front of that mountain. So he carved 2 tablets of stone like the first. Then Moses rose up early in the morning and went up to onto Mount Sinai, as Adonai had commanded him, and took in his hand the 2 tablets of stone. Then Adonai descended in the cloud, stood with him there, as he called on the name of Adonai. 13 attributes of God. Then Adonai passed before him and proclaimed, Adonai, Adonai, the compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger and abundant in loving kindness and truth, showing mercy to 1,000 generations, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, yet by no means leaving the guilty unpunished, but bringing the iniquity of the fathers upon the children and upon the children's children to the third and fourth generation. Then Moses quickly bowed his head down to the earth and worshipped. He said, If now I have found grace in your eyes, my Lord, let my Lord pass. Please go within our midst, even though this is a stiff-necked people. Pardon our iniquity and our sin, and take us for your own inheritance. The next section is entitled Exclusive Covenant. Then he said, I am cutting a covenant before all your people. I will do wonders, such as have not been done in all the earth or in any nation. All the people you are among will see the work of Adonai, for what I am doing, for what I am going to do with you will be awesome. Obey what I am commanding you today. Behold, I am going to drive out the Amorites, Canaanites, Hittites, Perizzites, Hivites, Jebusites before you. Watch yourself and make no covenant with the inhabitants of the land where you are going, or they will become a snare among you. Instead, you must break down altars, smash their pillars, and cut down their Asherah poles. For you are to bow down to no other God, because Adonai is jealous for his name. He is a jealous God. And as you're going to see, spoiler alert, they don't always destroy everything they're supposed to destroy. And yes, these other nations, these other peoples do indeed become snares for the children of Israel. And an Asherah pole was a Canaanite pole or tree symbolized to worship one of their false gods. Well, actually, a goddess. Um, so anyway, that is what God did not want his people involved with. It was the idolatry and the false gods that all of these other peoples worship. They had many gods, but they were not living gods. And going on with chapter verse 15, God further instructs Moses, see that you do not make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land. Otherwise, when they prostitute themselves with their gods and sacrifices to their gods, someone will invite you and you will eat from their sacrifice. Do not take their daughters for your sons, for their daughters will prostitute themselves with their own gods and cause your sons to prostitute themselves with their gods. You are not to make for yourself metal gods. You are to keep the feasts of matzah. For 7 days you are to eat matzah, as I commanded you, at the at the time appointed in the month of Aviv. For in the month of Aviv you came out from Egypt. Every firstborn of the womb is mine, and from all your cattle you are to sanctify the males, the firstborn of the ox and sheep, a firstborn donkey you are to redeem with a lamb, but if you do not redeem it, then you are to break its neck. You must redeem all your firstborn sons. No one should appear before me empty-handed. For 6 days you will work, but on the seventh day you will rest. During plowing time and harvest you must rest. You are to observe the feast of Shavuot, which is the first fruits of the wheat harvest, as well as the feast of ingathering at the turn of the year. 3 times during the year all your males are to appear before Adonai Elohim, God of Israel. For I am going to cast out nations before you, then enlarge your territory, so no one will covet your land when you go up to appear before Adonai your God 3 times in the year. You are not to offer the blood of my sacrifice with hametz, which is leaven. We talked about leaven before. Nor should you sacrifice the Passover festival remain until morning. The sacrifice of the Passover festival should not remain until morning. You are to bring the choicest first fruits of your land to the house of Adonai your God. You must not boil a kid in its mother's milk. Then Adonai said to Moses, write these words, for based on these words, I have cut a covenant with you and with Israel. So he stayed there with Adonai for 40 days and 40 nights. Imagine being in the glory of God for 40 days and 40 nights. He did not eat bread or drink water. He wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 words. Now it happened when Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tablets of the testimony in his hand, when he came down from the mountain, that Moses did not know the skin of his face was radiant. That's from being in the presence of God for all that time. And that's amazing. But God had spoken with him. When Aaron and all Bani Israel saw Moses, the skin of his face shone in rays. They were afraid to come near him. But Moses called out to them, so Aaron and all the rulers of the congregation returned to him, and Moses spoke to them. Afterward, all Bani Israel came near, and he gave them all the mitzvot, which is the commandments. Mitzvot, mitzvot, means commandments, that Adonai had spoken to him in Mount Sinai. When Moses was done speaking with them, he put a veil over his face. But when Moses went before Adonai so that he could speak with him, he took the veil off until he came out. When he came out and spoke to Benaiah Israel, what he commanded, Benaiah Israel saw the face of Moses, and that the skin of his face glistened. So Moses put the veil back over his face until he went in to speak with him. So now we're going to go on to chapter 35, which starts another parashat, Vayakol. Offerings for the tabernacle. Then Moses assembled all the congregation of Bani Israel and said to them, these are the words which Adonai has commanded you to do. Work is to be done for 6 days, but the 7th day is a holy day for you, a Shabbat of complete rest to Adonai. Whoever does any work then will die. Do not kindle a fire in any of your dwelling on Yom Shabbat, the day of Sabbath. Moses also said to all the congregation of Bani Israel, this is the word which Adonai commanded, saying, take from among you an offering for Adonai. Whoever has a willing heart, let him bring Adonai's offering, gold, silver, and bronze, blue, purple, and scarlet cloth, fine linen and goat hair, ram skins dyed red, sealskins and acacia wood, oil for the light, spices for the anointing oil, and for the sweet incense, onyx stones and setting stones for the ephod and for the breastplate. Let every wise-hearted man among you come and make everything that Adonai has commanded, including the tabernacle, its tent and its covering, the clasps and its boards, its crossboards, its pillars and its bases, the ark and the poles, the atonement cover and the curtain screen, the table and its poles with all of its utensils, along with the bread of the presence. Also for the menorah for light with its utensils, its lamps, and the oil for light, the altar of incense and its poles, the anointing oil, the sweet incense, and the screen for the entrance of the tabernacle, the altar of burnt offering with its grating of bronze, its poles, and all of its utensils, the basins and its stands, the hangings of the courtyard, the pillars and their bases, and the curtains for the gate of the courtyard, the pegs of the tabernacle and of the courtyard along with their cords, the woven garments for the ministering in the holy place, the holy garments for Aaron the Kohen and for his sons to minister as Kohanim. Then all the congregation of Bani Israel departed from Moses. Everyone whose heart stirred him and everyone whose spirit was willing came and brought Adonai's offering for the work of the tent of meeting and for all its service, as well as for the holy garments. So they came, both men and women, everyone whose heart compelled him, brought nose rings, earrings, signet rings, bracelets, and all kinds of golden jewels. Everyone who brought a wave offering of gold to Adonai, everyone who had blue, purple, scarlet, fine linen, goat hair, ram skins, dyed red, or sealskins brought them. Everyone who could make a contribution of silver or bronze brought Adonai's offering, and every man who had acacia wood of any use for service brought it. Also, all the women who were wise-hearted spun with their hands and brought what they had woven, the light, the blue, purple, scarlet, and fine linen. All the women whose hearts stirred them up with wisdom spun the goat hair. Also the leaders brought onyx stones and setting stones for the ephod and for the breastplate, along with the spice, the oil for the light, and for the anointing, and the sweet incense. Every man and woman whose heart made them willing gave towards all the work that Adonai had commanded to be done by Moses' hand. So Bani Israel brought it as a free will offering to Adonai. Then Moses said to Bani Israel, See, Adonai has called by name Bezalel son of Uri, son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah. He has filled him with the Ruach of the Spirit. Ruach is Ruach, the Ruach of God, with wisdom, understanding, and knowledge in all manner of craftsmanship, to make ingenious designs, to work in gold, silver, and bronze, as well as cutting gemstones for setting, wood carving, to make all kinds of skillful craftsmanship. He has also placed in his heart the ability to teach, both he and Aholiab, son of Ahisamach of the tribe of Dan. He has filled them with wisdom of heart to forge all the works of an engraver, an artisan, and an embroiderer in blue, purple, scarlet, and in fine linen, as well as weaving. They can perform every craft and ingenious designs. I'm going to pause that here. That's the end of chapter 35. We're going to come back with chapter 36 in the next part.